Welcome to AIGP News. I'm Steve Sanders. In this week's top story, Social Security will quit mailing yearly statements, opting instead for people to go online and look it up. This is part of the government's new plan to screw the elderly. This new idea has nothing to do with the government shutdown, but instead has Social Security wanting to save money and save paper by not using stamps. An apparent NATO strike was accidentally against some rebels in Berga. NATO replied to this by saying, "Whoops, our bad." It is unclear whether this was a NATO strike or was from Gaddafi's troops. Some rebels have said down with NATO, others have said down with Gaddafi, and others had said, well, NATO's like a Down syndrome boy at the Special Olympics. They tried, so they should receive a medal for it. Defense Secretary Robert Gates has assured troops in Iraq that gays being in the military will have no negative effect, except for the fact of more soldiers wearing pink. This was part of Robert Gates' assurance that nothing bad will happen to them in Iraq, except for the usual roadside bombing, children terrorists, and cold falafels. A conservative incumbent surged ahead in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race after more votes were found by a county clerk. You may remember this was the same excuse used by county clerks in the 2000 race and in the John Quincy Adams-Andrew Jackson race. This incumbent ran reportedly on a platform of less snow and more Packers, something which we all know can't be done. The Ivory Coast leader has said he would rather die than leave his country, something his entire country responded to and said that can be arranged. This came after the Ivory Coast leader was holed up in his bunker and troops reached his bunker but stopped short of going inside. These troops reportedly said they want him alive, just like Vader wanted the rebels. A deer and a goose have reportedly taken up residence in a Buffalo, New York cemetery, with the deer reportedly guarding the goose's nest. This is the strangest couple since Marty and his mother. Donald Trump has said he wants President Obama to show him proof that he was born in the U.S. Because after all, when it comes to politics, we know Donald Trump is the person to go to. Donald Trump also says he is not sure whether he will run for president in 2012 or not. But he said if he becomes president, then countries will no longer be laughing at America and will instead be laughing at our president. An aftershock in northern Japan measured 7.6 on the Richter scale. This reportedly did not bother the Japanese, who continued to eat sushi and play with swords. The workers inside the nuclear plant in Japan were evacuated as a tsunami warning, but went back in after the warning was cleared. They said they are working hard and are showing some progress, with only a 15-mile zone of Japan being nuclear as compared to a 25-mile zone 2 weeks ago. The European central banks have raised interest rates and look to tighten policy this week. They said, unlike the US, we do something other than print money when we're in trouble. The head of the bank said he will not raise interest rates too much due to the European countries in debt. He said he will also try to help the European countries in debt by telling them to go to freecreditscore.com. U.S. Defense Secretary Robert Gates has said he is working with the Iraqi Prime Minister, whose name I can't pronounce, to see if U.S. troops should stay in Iraq. You may remember that Congress voted U.S. troops out of Iraq by year's end, but as Robert Gates said, who listens to Congress anymore? The Iraqi Prime Minister has said that his police force should be able to handle any insurgents, though he is still undecided on whether or not U.S. troops should stay. He is reportedly using a quarter to decide, with heads mean stay, tails mean go, and if he's hungry, buy a falafel.
Well, Owen, Kaisha go a luher and donor go rowan bua egg de erin.
Toss and down arm, fair play on the gas look, we should hurricane, or commerces look.
It's lair goration less than a buckle takiak to hug too deep a river.
Oh, we should hurricane which into the soccer to tell us Yamagarosha Tilsigamak.
August, and will true be August the Roshin and Shaw.
Ach, through a bug of them to Ach, in any way, Bar Michel-Stach, Namahin.
Kinsha. Roshin, be the erin or was Brenchett Ahan Iraq.
We should the book I get to Sach. Just check her way.
It's more and true, ditcha. Ta jazz gale and Shaw Owen, Erin Drucker and Doyle Gaman jazz gale Kierna eg shimmy ditch. Shimmy, could you have all a harlenish?
Well, they're touching Shingar more and through. It's more an honour, did she? It's plus it in Kate Van, the Gullis Jackson number Patchy. When you two salt us, got your lump. When you the program is mean that.
Well, Fad agus it is shimmy a Karushinas Jahanson number Pucci and Shaw. Neil Fikel Johnny Ogum sa Aquihis August Co-Brona goal a raced Le Bunskull Knee Podrick a Ren Iraq in Kid Sky. August Co-Gorgeous Le Bunskull Owen Boasha a Ren Echt in you. Gormai get forced the lesson Birch Iana. Sheelan goal job Bugla Johnny Shimmy and Shaw.
Well, Ray. And Darley and Shaw that you're also the ring minute. Well, Ship Ray. Car.
Galaxy get hinta into Milishin fair play day. Shine to Ahanrod Hart. Wormsa August O'Shimmy Gajian Kira Ella. Slan leveleg. Slan.
Now for celebrity news. There were reportedly lots of tears after Pia was eliminated from American Idol. She was reportedly very popular. This means American Idol is going in a new route from the popularity contest to something more valid. Rapper Gucci Mane was arrested this week after reportedly throwing a woman out of a moving vehicle in January. Now, if you think the arrest goes slow now, just imagine what will happen if there's a shutdown. Betty White blasted Charlie Sheen and Lindsay Lohan this week, saying they were ungrateful. She also said she would do either of them and then offer them movie roles. A New Jersey senator has said that Snooki is a degenerate, which is probably the most obvious quote ever from a politician. Entourage actor Kevin Connolly has said he wants to buy a piece of the Mets. No, not the baseball team, but an actual Met, because it's worth more. Lindsay Lohan has bought Michael Jackson's ex-bodyguard, meaning that he will soon have to report 2 celebrity deaths. Matt Lauer reportedly wants $25 million to stay with the Today Show. NBC is denying this report. Matt Lauer isn't saying anything. But since it's from someone who claims they know something, it has to be true. Flavor Flav rapped with Bret Michaels this week, proving once again Bret Michaels will do anything to stay in the news. Bravo has announced that it has canceled Real Housewives of DC. That's a start, Bravo. Now to get rid of the rest. Actress Drea D'Amadio has reportedly had her child with boyfriend Shooter Jennings. She reportedly named this child Cockatooey because that is what she's seen in her last acid trip. Now here is our own resident pirate, Captain Iron Sam Kidd, with more relationship advice. Take it away, Captain.
Welcome aboard, ye mateys. I be Captain Iron Sam Kidd.
And we have more of the dating advice. We didn't get no questions from people this week. So instead, I be talking about what is important in a relationship. In dating a woman or a man, it'd be important to always have honesty in that relationship. Like if you just plundered an American ship, it'd be good to tell your partner. It is a good way to test the partner to see if thee can be trusted in the relationship. Because there be a reward for your arrest. And if your partner doesn't turn you in, they be a keeper. If they try though, you should tie them up in the galley and head to the sea. Once out, make them walk the plank or shoot them with a cannon. Either way be fine. As long as thee no longer survive to turn thee in. It is also important to make the partner aware of the sexual needs. If ye need a partner who dress like a bird, like Captain Iron Sam Kid, then ye need to tell them and have the bird costume ready, because you can't expect them to have a bird costume. You need to have a bird costume ready, and then have them put them on, because a good captain is always prepared. Also, make sure the bird costume has a hole in the crotch, because you don't want them to take the bird costume off. You should also have a DVD ready of a bird talking, because you can't expect them to know how to talk like a bird. So then they can learn how to talk like a bird, because you want the bird costume to be as realistic as possible. So you want them to talk like a bird and to wear the bird costume. So you should have a DVD ready so they can learn to talk like a bird. Remember though, bird costumes don't come cheap. Ye have to pay out the butt for the bird costume. Expect a week's plunder to go to a bird costume, because ye don't want to buy it for cheap, because bird costumes, they just don't last like they used to. So use a week's plunder to buy the bird costume, because you don't want a cheap bird costume. And you want one with a hole in the crotch, which is even more expensive. So be prepared to spend a week's plunder on the bird costume, so it will last. You also want to buy a bird costume that's fit for most women. You don't want to buy an especially large bird costume, because then it will be real loose. But you don't want to buy a really small bird costume, because then the women won't fit in it. What you want to do is you want to buy in about an average bird costume, and then you go after average to small women, so they will fit in the bird costume. That way it's not too loose, it's not too tight, and it fits the women. So you want to also go after the women who fit into the bird costume. So if you have a small bird costume, you don't want a large woman. Well, that be all the advice from Captain Iron Sam Kid this week. Back to the studio. Thank you, Captain. That was rather strange. Now for sports news. Manny Ramirez has officially retired from baseball, in what has to be the best news to ever come out of baseball. Ramirez reportedly retired rather than face a punishment for violating baseball's wellness policy. Now, if it was just that easy to get out of punishments in America's legal system. Speaking of America's legal system, the jury in the Barry Bonds trial reportedly wanted the entire transcript of the conversation between Bonds and his trainer. The judge dismissed this and played back the parts the prosecution wanted them to hear, proving again that America's legal system works. St. John's basketball coach Steve Levon has reportedly been diagnosed with prostate cancer, proving once again that St. John's can make the news. The New Jersey Nets have been fined $50,000 for Jay-Z visiting the Kentucky Wildcats locker room. This is the most Jay-Z has lost since investing in the Nets. The conference call between the NFL and the players reportedly is being kept a secret, though our sources say they agreed to ice cream. California billionaire Tom Gates has reportedly agreed to buy the Detroit Pistons. Expect the Pistons to move to California and continue to lose. The Los Angeles police chief has said there will be no violence at upcoming LA Dodger games, which means Jack Nicholson will no longer be attending LA Dodger games. Jay Cutler has said he was deeply hurt by people questioning his toughness. He then broke down in tears and asked for his blankie. Now here are this week's basketball scores. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. I'm Steve Sanders, signing off.